there was this big hubbub about astronauts being stuck up at the ISS under the Biden administration. Remember that?
Oh, yeah.
Shh. Hello. I look like I'm sat down really, really low. Let me just, I don't know what I look like or what you can see until I get going. So I just need to make some fine adjustments. Yeah, that's better. In fact, let me push right back. Have a look at this light. How beautiful is that? It's something I bought off Temu. And it's meant to replicate the aurora borealis. Borealis? Borealis. It is Borealis. I'm sure it's Borealis. Bolly summit. Anyway. It's just very, very soothing. And I can see that all over the ceiling. It's very, very, very relaxing, you know? Well, you can't really appreciate it like I can. It's a shame. I might have a little bit of a fiddle around with it for the next live stream and see if I can get it so that you can see it like I can see it. Because it'd just be nice to have something really relaxing in the background for when I go off on one, you know. I used to have a little bit of a chuckle when Trends Journal had come on with Gerald Salenti, and I'd time it. I would like give it 1.5 minutes, you know, like 5-10 seconds either side of 1.5 minutes before he finally loses his shit and then goes off on one in his with that Italian passion. And I'm usually spot on. It's usually about 1.5 minutes. If I'm being, it's Gerald Salenti and it's Friday. Blah, blah, blah. And he's talking like this. And then all of a sudden he gets passionate and he gets fucked off. And he's like, fucking this, fucking that. You know, he's a smart man, though. You know, a very smart man. If you're not subscribed, I recommend it. I recommend him. You know, he's an honest, a genuine, honest guy. And I like that. There's not enough of that around. Winnie the Pooh. Where? Because there is a horror film. I don't know if you're aware of that, Ray. A horror film that was made last year. It's a video nasty version of Winnie the Pooh. You know, they've run out of fucking ideas. They're completely out of ideas now. It's like, what's not been done? I've got an idea. You've got Tigger just fucking tearing people in half. True story. It really exists. Hey up, Michael, thanks for joining us. And hello, Kirsty. You all right, sweetheart? Kirsty's put some lovely videos out recently, if you've not watched them. And she started planting up already. I've started planting a few things up already. I would honestly say that Kirsty gave me a bit of a kick up the arse, because most people don't think about starting to plant stuff up until like February time, you know, just to get things going. A lot of people just don't think about it. They just say, it's winter, it's shit out there, nothing's going to grow. But you can get loads of stuff going, you know, to give it a good head start. So you can have earlier harvests, you know. So thank you, Kirsty. Good. Hello, Lana. You all right, sweetheart? Where's our Jordan? Did I miss him? Just found out that the manufacturer of Bovea, DSM, are also the biggest manufacturer of the synthetic folic acid flour additive. Wow. That's an eye-opener. I'm surprised that I'm not surprised. Did I say that right? Something like that, you know, but it doesn't surprise me at all. But I'm very surprised that certain channels haven't picked that up. Two come to mind, and they're both ladies. that have been following the Bovea thing, you know, going into shops and stuff and examining the codes that are on products that are in there, saying, oh, this is safe, this isn't safe. And I think there's a website out there or an app or something that you can check as well. But, you know, fucking hell. This is why I'm avoiding buying anything that's got added. Fortified. If anything you buy says fortified with this or that, or fortified with this or that, why did it need to be fortified? What was wrong with it to start off with? How come all of the nutrients from that product have been completely ripped out of it? Oh, man, you know. Well, thank you for that heads up, Lana, because it's something that everyone needs to be aware of. Again, I could go to probably any one of my neighbors on this street and go, what are your thoughts on Bovea? And they go, Bovea what? They won't have a clue, you know? And then you've got loads and loads, you know, millions of mums and dads out there that are buying loaves of bread from the shop, probably the cheapest bread they can find because it's sustenance, it fills their kids up, you know, they don't want the kids to be hungry. And virtually none of them are looking at the ingredients list that should have like 3, 4, maybe 5 tops ingredients in that list. And it's just a fucking essay. But they don't pay attention to it. Walking Dead, not all of them, you know, again, a lot of them are coming round, they are, but not as quick as they need to. So, you know, anything that says fortified or added folic acid, I just put it back down again, you know. And because you need to think of your health, you are what you eat. If you're eating poison, you become poison. You're going to end up inevitably at some point with various problems, health problems. You know, I don't know why this is like blurring in and out. It gets right on my tits. And it's the same with pets. So I've had to end up stopping my pet insurance because it was just too expensive. I live on my own, you know. But I've not been trashy about it, you know. I've not been stupid about it. What I've done as a way of mitigating that is I've changed their diet. So it depends on how much your dog, your cat, your bird, your rat, your bat means to you. If they're family, if they are proper family, then you'll give a fucking off. So it is going to work out a lot cheaper and it's going to save you a lot of heartache if you improve your dog's diet, your cat's diet. You know, I mean, reptiles and stuff like that, that's a different matter. I mean, you can breed your own crickets and your own locusts. I've done it, you know. And you can breed your own mice, breed your own rats for snakes and stuff like that. I've done that as well. That's not pleasant because young snakes eat what are called pinkies, which are newborn baby mice and newborn baby rats. Their eyes aren't open and they've got no fur. There's nothing, just moving around, and you just leave them in the cold. You know, it sounds awful, I know, but this is nature. Nature's cruel. It is. Look at us. Well, not us, you know, them bastards. So yeah, you know, they eat. They have good. They're proper meat, not every day, because I can't afford to give them like fresh meat every day. But they eat 5 times better than they did. Now, because they're eating 5 times better than they were, that's 5 times less chance of them getting loads and loads of these very common diseases that are relatively easy to avoid, because they are what they eat as well, and they've got no choice. They've got no choice. They'll eat whatever they're given. They can't just help themselves. So, you know, try and get kibbles out of their diet as much as you can, if you can, and replace it with, you know, bit of rice, bit of porridge, but make sure they get that protein. And exercise is unbelievable. You know, really good exercise for your dogs. Cats do their own thing anyway, they're little fucking acrobats, but dogs in particular, if you exercise your dogs on a really, really regular basis, really give it some, you know, that'll drastically reduce the chances of a regularly exercised dog. You can add an extra 2 years onto their life. You know, look it up. I'm gonna have to put these on in a minute. And I'm trying to attach them to, I should have thought this through. I'm trying to attach them to these glasses because I can read better with these, you know. The amount of times I'm like that, or reading like a 5-year-old that's just learned to read, it's embarrassing. Hello, Jordan, you all right, matey? I hope you've had a good week too. Mine's been all right. Steady, you know. Just found out. Oh yeah. Heard it from Anna. Right, okay. I was going to say I've not seen her most recent video, so I wouldn't know. That's who I meant. I'm surprised that got past her, but it obviously hasn't. You know, because she's on the ball. She really is. One video that I did watch on the build up to getting the live going was what I would consider to be a veteran. Again, the word veteran's just thrown around. I know I've mentioned this before, but I think it's quite important, really. There are certain words that shouldn't just be used flippantly, you know, and vet is one of them. Veteran is one of them. So if someone's joined the army, it's like my cousin, he served 13 years in the army. He never saw any action. He never went to any hot zones. So I would consider him an ex-soldier, not a veteran. It's people that have survived it, that have experienced, you know, bad shit. Even if you've been deployed to a hot zone, but didn't actually see any action, you kind of fall into the category of a veteran because you've gone over there and shitting yourself, thinking I'm gonna have bullets flying over my head tomorrow. Whether it happens or not, it's the same thing psychologically. So I would still consider someone like that to be a veteran. Anyway, this chap's 66 years old. Let me just, for the record, if anyone watches the live stream back, or if anyone wants to make a note, because I think the video is only a day old and I think he's had 500,000 views. I don't think he's probably got like a massive subscriber count, but I think it's because of the relevance of the video that he put out that got him 500,000 views. I'll just tell you what it is, and then I'll expand on the point I'm trying to make. It's called Let's, LETS tab TAB 59. So I'm assuming he set up his channel when he was 59 years old. He's now 66. So he falls just outside of the 65-year limit of being called up. You know, I can't fucking believe that. Now, the fact that they are looking at getting retired army personnel and veterans to be on standby for an unnecessary war that doesn't exist is pretty sickening. You know, that's a low punch. That is. It's dirty. Now, even though he's a veteran and 13 years my senior, I do think that watching that video, I do think he's just a little bit naive, and I say that with all due respect, you know. And the reason why I think that he's a little bit naive is because he said that if he did fall within that 65-year gap, he says, I'll go for it. I'll go for it. Yeah. I've done fuck all. Or retired at 55, which is the age that you retire from, and you get a half decent pension. You don't really need to work after that. You get a half decent pension if you survive to 55, and that rhymes. But he thinks that everyone sort of in that kind of army retirement bracket of 55 to 65, he thinks they're all going to be in sort of IT or, you know, retired nurses, retired doctors, working in the mess halls, repairing and issuing uniforms and weapon maintenance and stuff like that. And that's just, in my opinion, I don't think that's the case, because all you need to do is look back to 2020 to 2022, when they wiped out thousands and thousands of senior citizens that would have been with us this Christmas, with the DNRs and the DNRs and all those beds in hospital, and giving them end of life medication when they didn't need it, you know. So this fucked up government of ours sees people of that age as non-productive, you know, and potentially a bit of a threat, because especially the vets, because they've been there, they understand war, and yeah, they could be half decent role models from a strategic perspective for the people in the fight back, which is inevitable. Oh dear. Nature is beautiful and complex, but it is also a cruel mistress. But I reckon you like a bit of a cruel mistress, don't you, Michael? Hey, you know? Wait, what? It's Friday night. Oh, it's spank night. I've got the paddle. You don't need to look for it. I don't know, Michael. You know, it's a bit more normal than bus fucking. Just saying. Anyway, there's a lovely comment, actually, Michael. A good ebook for vet stuff here. If anyone could click on that link and download it, Lana's very trustworthy. She'd never put anything up on there that will, you know, fuck your computer up or your phone up. It'll always be useful. She's put some very, very important stuff in the chat over the last year or so. Very important. I don't want to click on it yet, Lana, on any of those links, because I think it might fuck things up, and I'm not as techie as you are. So if you can send those links over to me on X, I'd really appreciate that, so I can have a gander. I have got some good books on looking after. Again, you know, if you can't prepare for your furry or scaly or feathered family members, then you shouldn't have them. It's as simple as that. You shouldn't have them. I posted a meme all over X just before Christmas and just after Christmas. And it was a picture of I grew up with German Shepherds. My mum used to breed German Shepherds for beer tokens, right? So there were puppies, loads of, and it was a meme, and it was a picture of, I think it was three photos, four. And then one was a picture of a puppy. And it was like, what I'll do is I'll put it into the post section, and you'll see what I mean. It's like people are so kind of attracted to the puppy, the gorgeous, cute little puppy or little kitten or like baby, anything really is so cute, you know. You just want to fucking pop the little fucking head. I know. I don't actually do it, but you know. But they don't think about the care, the attention, the expense, you know, the exercise, the stimulation, and then the fact that they're going to get really, really old and struggle, you know, the back legs might go. There's certain things that go wrong with certain breeds that are notorious for it. You know, you've got to think right the way to the end before you make a decision. And we did, you know, it was very, very well thought through. You know, I'd sell whatever I needed to sell if anything came out of the woodwork, but by feeding them good quality food, nutritious food that's not made from kibbles. Those kibbles are made from roadkill, animals that have died from disease at slaughterhouses that weren't fit for human consumption. The list goes on. Those kibbles are, and then they're also fortified, most of them fortified with this and that and whatever, because the plants that go in there to bulk it out have been sprayed with loads of Monsanto shit. You know, it's so bad. It's so bad. There are a few good, you know, kibble producers out there, but not many. Not many. I'd say 95% of them are pretty bad. So, I mean, there is a doggy cookbook you can get. And thanks to our Lana, I've got it. It was a gift. So let me just, again, look, this is a predominantly prepping channel. So I'm going to do preppy stuff now and then, you know. I know some people might find it a bit boring, but it won't take long just for me to go through these. So that's one of them. If you want to take a screenshot. No, that's got nothing to do with it. That's from Lana. Sorry. You can tell. But it is quite funny and entertaining. This one by James E. McKay, another Scottish name. That's got nothing to do with it. That's got nothing to do with dogs, or has it? You know. And then you've got Dinner for Dogs with a beautiful little border terrier there. So there are books out there. You are better off going for tried and tested and recommended, which I recommend. And Lana recommended them to me. And Lana, you know, gave me one of them. So they are good. You can't beat word of mouth. There's probably, I don't know, 100 books out there on trying to avoid the vet, on looking out for specific symptoms, blah, 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 blah. There's so much you can do with your, I don't like the word pet, your family member, you know, just to check them over, just give them a good check over. I mean, I don't even know if dogs can get Lyme's disease. I'll have to look that up. But they run around in long grass and that, and I've had to pull ticks off these. And they are creepy little bastards. They really are very fucking sinister. And look at this. Look at the Lone Star tick. The Lone Star tick, which I believe has been weaponized by the Gates Foundation, just like mosquitoes, which are flying syringes, and they want us all to be off meat and eating the bugs. And the Lone Star tick is equipped with something that will make you allergic to eating meat. It can make you violently ill. The one foodstuff that your brain and your body, but especially your brain, really, really needs. You know, that protein, we can't just develop protein. We can't store protein. It gets used up. So we need to keep getting it in us, you know. There are different types of protein and we can get it from other places, but meat's right up there. Meat and dairy, especially eggs, which is why they want you to stop eating eggs. All you need to do is think, whenever you hear, right, you need to be stopping eating this. You need to be stopping drinking that, you know, question that, keep questioning it. Why is that? Why is the British bullshit corporation telling me that this is bad for me? So just think the opposite. Oh. So yeah, just flipping back to this veteran guy who's 66, who thinks that he's going to have like some little cushy job where that's if he's not going to get called up because he's beyond that. But then what's this? Look at the age of retirement. You know, by the time I get to the age of retirement, for whatever that age is for me now, I don't know what it is, right? By the time I get there, it'll be 100. I'll be dead. So what's to say that they're going to stop it at 65? Now, I've seen genuine footage of a couple of Ukrainian soldiers sneaking up on another Ukrainian soldier in the pit, one of the pits, you know, you know what I mean. Sometimes words just elude me. And this soldier was pissed out of his face with Down syndrome. And it wasn't AI, you know. And we've all seen footage of these wankers just pulling up at people's houses, jumping on buses, jumping on trains and dragging people off into vans and fucking off with them, never to be seen again. And then they just get uniformed up. There's a gun. Fuck off. Trenches. Get in those trenches. This is all part of the depopulation program. All of it. Russia is never going to attack the rest of Europe. He's not. He's got one job, and that's to thin the herd. Russia and Putin is the meat grinder. And I think that no matter what comes our way, I'm hoping that people keep fucking them off, keep batting them off, and keep saying no. And I think most people will. I can't imagine there's going to be anyone that's going to voluntarily join up and fight for a government that they hate. It's nonsensical. It's irrational. Oh, thank you, Lana. Oh, you're so efficient. If I ever make it big and I need a secretary, / seamstress / computer engineer, / you've got the job. Your country needs you. So thank you, Lana. So yeah, he's a lovely guy. You know, you can tell that he's clearly very, very, very patriotic. He loves his country, just like many other soldiers his age. Probably thought that whatever wars they've participated in were just wars, and I do believe that a lot of ex-soldiers, especially veterans, still believe that, when in actual fact that's just not the case. I reckon 95% of all wars throughout history were completely unnecessary. It was manipulation and population control and money making. It's all about the wonga. Love all the comments in latest video of his. Yeah, I'm just blown away that you're even familiar with him, Lana. Unless you've just had a look, had a bit of a kind of a click through, but he's clearly loved, he's clearly respected, you know, which is lovely. I happened across him by accident, and I just thought it would tie in nicely with that specific subject, and he does. He's willing to go back into service. He's a good lad, but yeah, probably not what he's expecting. No, they want to wipe out anyone that's either going to be a threat to the government, right, by having really good leadership qualities and knowledge about war and strategy, right? And he's not contributing to society anymore because he's done his fucking job. He's done it. He's retired. You know, they don't want retirees. Retirees, as far as the government, this sick, fucked up government is concerned, retirees are just leeching off the system that they've paid heavily into all of their lives. You know, but they want them gone. They want anyone that's not productive, gone. And I don't think he realizes that. I think the age raised to 65 only for ex-servicemen. Right. Yeah, I think it's a bit more for us as plebs, as peasants. Added to my list. Thank you. I'm not quite sure what you've added, but I'm glad you've added it. Hello, Nick. You all right, brother? Good to see you, my friend. Thank you for joining us. Sounds like a came at the night moment. Veteran stumbling in the side door. What a load of bollocks is my official statement. I hope everyone is good. Yeah, maybe. Who knows? Who knows? You're welcome, Lana. I mean it. Why would anyone volunteer to fight for a flag that you're not even allowed to celebrate in your own country? That's a really good point, Michael. Really good point. But again, it's like you're not allowed to do that. Then you can either go, all right, or you can go, fuck off. You know? So we're all grown-ass adults. You know, we're not children. And we're living in what wants to be a nanny state. So, you know, I'm a grown-ass adult. I didn't like being told what to do as a kid. You know, I didn't do well at school. I went toe-to-toe with several bosses, not bosses, people that were in a position of directing me in my job that I was contracted to do. I like that. Because I said, I don't ask me, don't tell me, ask me. It's optional then, you know? Fuck them. So yeah, fly your flags. Fuck them. It's your flag. No beans subbed to Let's Tab. Wow, what are the odds of that? Again, I'd never heard of it. I've never seen it before in my life. It just came up in my, I don't like the word feed either. It's like, this is what you want to watch now. And that, open wide. And have some more. Keep swallowing it. Feed. I don't like that. But anyway, it just came up. And literally about half an hour before the live stream. So it's quite interesting because it just adds another element to it all. They want them all dead. And again, they've got memories and knowledge of the past. They're currently brainwashing and doing some form of book burning in the present. So I've always said that our senior citizens were the original Google, you know. Like, go and ask your gran. Go and ask your granddad. He'll know. And they usually did. Or they knew someone that did. All that life experience. You can't put a price on life experience. You can't. So they were our original Google. So they want to try and erase as much information from the past so that people don't question history, like World War II, like the gas camps, you know. They don't want you questioning any of that. So if they can get rid of old school, old timers that have got a lot of knowledge and a lot of wisdom and you know, to the point where you can turn around to them and go, I've just read that this blah, 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 blah. What? That's a load of fucking bollocks. I was around then. I know exactly what happened. And I'll tell thee. You know, they don't want that. So they're a threat in so many ways on top of being non-productive that they deserve. Oh dear. In the veteran circles, I move with none of them would go anywhere near a battlefield on behalf of a politician ever again. Oh, so did you mean I'm the vet? Are you? So are you a veteran then, Nick? Go anywhere near a battlefield on behalf of a politician ever again, and the community is growing by the day, one betrayal after another. That's good news. It's sad news and good news in equal measures at exactly the same time. You know, it just goes to show that the fight back is bubbling up. You know, everything's simmering at the moment. We need to get everything to a rolling fucking boil. They want them gone to free up houses and avoid paying out the pensions. Also a depop. Yeah, it is. Yeah, that was the whole point behind the genocide. I keep saying genocide, and I've always said that I'll keep bringing it up periodically because it was a genocide of our senior citizens in our own country under everyone's noses, and no one did a fucking thing. We have been betrayed and broken by those who never go to where the shit hits the fan themselves. No, they never do. They never send their kids. They never send anyone. You know, it's always the working class, the working and middle class. Always. That's never changed. The lack of support for veterans is seen by many, and we don't forget easily. I know. And do you know what, mate? You know, the fact that we've got homeless veterans, that really fucking it pisses me off that we've got indigenous British people living on the streets anyway. But then you throw into the fact people that have got, quite likely have got serious hardcore PTSD, just freezing to death on the streets with no support, nothing. Fighting for wars that were designed to just gain resources and make money. That's it. That's all. It's sickening. There's a channel, just briefly, just go into this. There's a channel where there's a guy that's a Navy SEAL. Navy SEALs were probably the American equivalent of the British SAS. And there are loads of people, it's called Stolen Valor. So there are loads of people pretending to be ex-Navy SEALs and stuff, and this guy catches them out and fucks them over, and rightly so. You know? Oh, man. But they've got charities over there for ex-Navy SEALs and ex-servicemen and stuff that have been fucked up through war, whether that be physically, mentally, or both. You know? We've got very little of that sort of thing over here. They're on the fucking streets. All the way our veterans have been treated by the government. Yeah. But because, you know, even those out there, I don't know why I did that. It was a little bit of Wallace and Gromit. I love cheese. Sorry, that's very inappropriately timed. Yeah, even people out there that are just starting to come around, people that are just starting to wake up a little bit, just stirring, you know, just kind of wiping the sleep from their eyes a little bit, just coming around. Even them, they can see this shit. They can see that we've got veterans on the street. They're not, you know, they're not ignorant to that. Some are, but loads and loads of people are fully aware of that and the injustice of it, which is a good thing. It's a good thing. Whatever it takes to trigger you to wake the fuck up, it all counts. Well, I would just like to say thank you for your service, Nick, because I do believe that based on what I've just said and no argument from you, you are clearly a vet, you know. I'm not asking you to go into any details or anything, but thank you, you know. And I can imagine how deeply fucked off you must feel as an ex-army, ex-Navy, ex-Air Force. I'm not quite sure which service you were in. It's irrelevant, really. But you can tell us if you like. For you to know that all of these wars were unjust. You know, like I've said, I reckon 95% of all wars were just pointless, unnecessary. One war that is definitely worth fighting is this one. Because it affects everybody. We are being invaded. We're literally being invaded and being attacked. Our government has turned it against its own people. We are at war. People go on about World War III that, World War III this. And yeah, we are at the foothills of World War III. Yes, we are. I don't think anyone's going to doubt that. But the World War III rhetoric is all government led. It's all MSM. The war I see is not World War III. It's a domestic war. And every country is at war domestically because they're all facing the same problems, mainly Western countries. But then look at South America, you know, and they can't fight back. And then taking Greenland as well. So then they'll have all of South America right the way up to Alaska, and then Greenland as well. What's in the middle? The 51st state. And do Canadians get a vote? Actually, no. We don't want to be American. We want to be a Canadian. We want to be Canadian. We're Canadians. And then they're part of the Commonwealth, the British Empire. Are the Brits going to go up against America to fight for Canada? No, because they're all connected. It's all orchestrated. It's a fucking sick joke that no one thinks is funny. Democide. Yeah, that's exactly what it is, Lana. Madness. And I'm aware that I could look like they call it madness. Sorry, I'm just trying to kind of just bring a little bit of lightness to a very, very dark subject and a very, very real problem. It is a bloody crime, mate, and it will be sorted out, but it's gonna need to be sorted out by us. And that's going to be very costly. But the alternative just doesn't bear thinking about. Lana, you just brought balance to the chat and to me with your Wallace and Gromit, Wensleydale. I love cheese. You know, in fact, if I thought the moon was really made of cheese, I'd fuck off up there like that. I served in the Air Force. Okay, yeah, my first wife was in the RAF for 8 years. 90 to 98, 3 years in Northern Ireland. Fucking hell. But that was part of your part of the thing back then. I don't think they do it anymore. You served a bit of time over there to give you a little bit of yeah, you know what I mean. Thankfully, I never took someone's life on behalf of a lie told by politicians. That is a cross I think would crush me with its weight. Yeah, but it's not going to crush you with its weight because it didn't happen. And I'm glad it didn't happen, you know. And I'm just glad that you weren't over there when the troubles were the troubles, you know, because it would have been so horrifically bad. And again, all the people behind the IRA. I mean, they, again, when you start looking into that, that was all orchestrated, and the people that were, you know, we need to go and fucking bomb this place. We got to go and bomb that place. You've got to go and fucking do it, or I'll shoot you in the face, or I'll shoot your family. They're all living the life of Riley now. They made a fucking mint out of that. They're all living in mansions. No jail. Even though there's loads of evidence that they were guilty of committing murder and conspiring to murder. You know, cunts. One rule for me, one rule for thee. Global coup d'etat. Oh, fucking hell, Lana. I love it when you talk all foreign. You got to have a crack, you know. You got to have a crack. Mad world. And just see if Zeph needs to go out. I'm not sure if she does or not. I'll be right back. You're weak. No, all right, come back in then. All around me are familiar faces. I love that song. It's so haunting. You should look up read the lyrics as well. You know that song. It's so haunting and so true. And it is a mad world. It's batshit bonkers. And what makes it even more bonkers is that it's always been bonkers. It's maybe 8-9 years ago, I would have said that it's not necessarily worse. It's just the veil of deceit is lifted and you can see through the fog of bullshit now. But now I can say hand on heart, it's definitely got worse. You know, we can all see that. You don't need to be a fucking Einstein to know that everything's got significantly worse. And then you start looking at, why has it got worse? Why now? Why all of a sudden has everything just ramped up beyond belief? And it does seem to kind of tie in with the Great Awakening. I know I go on about that, but it does. It's like it's been timed. It's like they knew that the human race was starting to come around. You know, the age of Aquarius and all that. I don't know all the ins and outs. It's a bit out there. I'm still looking into it, but I do think there's something in it. And I do think that a lot of it is a result of the sun. You know, I'm not going to go into in depth about my theories on that because I think it's probably a little bit too woo-woo, you know, but I do think that that's got something to do with it. I do. And astrology is a very powerful thing. I mean, the royal family, they aren't even a legitimate royal family. They live their lives around astrology and homeopathy. You know, they don't take any of this big pharma shit. They've got access to incredible medical advances, but they stick predominantly to nature. Whilst we're eating Frankenstein meat, lab-grown shit, sprayed with all sorts of God knows how many different poisons and no nutritional value. And, you know, this is why I'm so big on foraging. The amount of health benefits you can get, all of the nutrients that you're missing from the food that you buy from these fucking supermarkets can be found for free. So holding up a big handful of carrots from Asda that's been sprayed with fuck knows what, grown in God knows what, and you're thinking, I'm going to eat these because these nettles might have been pissed on by a dog. That's the mentality of people when you bring up foraging. Not everyone, but people think like that. They do. They think like that. Like, oh no, it's got dog piss on it. Might have dog piss on it. Whereas those nettles, nettles, it's a superfood. It's a literal superfood. Yet you eat these carrots that have got no nutritional value, pretty much, you know, and sprayed with so many different poisons. But it's like, no, but it's one of my 5 a day. Fucking hell. But to reassure those who are wondering, there is a larger contingent of us who are standing up and know what will be required of us. Yep, I agree. There are groups forming all the time, and communication is I agree with what you're saying, mate. I totally agree with you. People are waking up, and I wish more people would get out to the community. Then someone would ring in a credible bomb threat. Shop gets evacuated, and people have a great Christmas. Then on big builds, Protestant and Catholic would work side by side. They already are, Nick. I mentioned this, it's probably about 6 months ago now, that it was such a beautiful thing because it's the first time that that's happened in probably, I don't know, 100 years? No, not that long. About 70, 80 years. Because they've got a common enemy. They've got a common problem. Because Northern Ireland's being infested by these fucking cockroaches, just like we are. So they've put all that aside. I'm with England. Well, I'm not. I'm not with England. I don't want to be part of England. I want to be part of Ireland. I want a unified Ireland. Well, we want to be part of England. Well, I'll tell you what. Let's focus on this shit because this is affecting both of us. That's what's happening. And it's beautiful. It's beautiful. And again, I've given analogies of like Vera and Alice, always at each other's throats. Wash your nets, you dirty bitch. Fuck off, you're Frank's an alcoholic. Like that, day in, day out, right? All of a sudden, the war happened, and they were side by side, pulling bricks out to try and rescue their neighbours. Side by side, having a cup of tea together at the end and a good fucking cry. These are beautiful silver linings. Then on the way home from a job, the gaffer would ring and ask if they still had the plans for the job. Are you talking from a soldier's perspective, Nick? I hope to hear that, Nick. I've suspected it for a while, and now it's great to have it confirmed. I think we're all on board and waiting to help. Yeah, absolutely. Hello, Mandy. You're right, sweetheart. Thanks for joining us, darling. They played that song Mad World a lot through COVID. That doesn't surprise me. That would have been part of the psyop, just to get into your fucking heads. But I think it's a beautiful song. So whether it was played as a psyop or not is irrelevant to me. I think it's a beautiful song. Beautifully sad. Then over the weekend, things go boom. Everyone back to work on Monday. Boys. Yeah. You see, let me get all the way through so I don't fall behind, and then I'm reading comments that I should have read like 10, 15 minutes ago, so they don't match up then. So I do apologize. I'm a fucker for it. I have a cup of stinging nettle tea and a cup of dandelion tea every day. Love them both. Good. Yeah. It's on my, I need to get more. I mean, nettles, it's not really a good time to pick them at the moment. But when they start coming up and all the new shoots start coming up, I'll be getting loads and loads of them, and then dehydrating them and dandelions, and then putting them in my little tea caddy that I love. I'll take a little scoop out of that, and I mix and match. I just make sure that I avoid the ones that have got caffeine in before I go to bed. But they're very, very good for you. They're so good for you. I like stinging nettle tea too with honey. Yeah, I like any tea with honey, you know, especially if it's got a bit of a flavour that you're not really keen on. Plus, you know, if you buy any tea that's a little bit, you know, it's like dust, right? You're not getting the best tea. All that is they've made the quality good tea for another brand, and then they've swept up all the dust off the floor, right? Put them into big bags and then shipped them off to another part of the factory or another place, and then they get put into tea bags. That's your Tetley, that's your Typhoo, shit like that. Especially your no frills brands. It's just dust swept up off the fucking floor. Proper tea is of substance, you know, chunks. Where you can make out that is part of a leaf. So I'm getting more and more away from that sort of shit, on top of the fact that it's sprayed with God knows what, and trying to go for, you know, stuff that's going to benefit me health wise. Again, going back to feeding your dogs to give them, you know, more longevity in life so that you don't lose them too soon. It's the same with you, you know. If you don't eat well and you don't look after yourself and you don't exercise regularly, you could be gone. You know, you're not going to give a fuck when you're dead. But your dogs are. They've got to readjust. Sorry, I got a bit confusing. You did for me, Nick, and I do apologise, mate. I couldn't put it together in my head. But it seems that everyone else got it, which makes me frustrated that I didn't. But it wasn't intentional, brother. You know, I did try. Let me read the rest of your comment. I was commenting on the Northern Ireland situation, as you mentioned. Time lag made it sound like I was frothing at the mouth, deranged. I don't think anyone thought that, my friend. I don't think anyone thought that at all. Don't worry. I'm off to bed. Good night, Nick. And I'm sorry about the fact that I kind of, you know, lost my way a little bit with what you were saying, but I think I got the gist of it. But have a great weekend, Nick. Make sure you do. Much love from my home to yours. Always save the core of a pineapple. Yeah, the bit that everyone throws away. You know, the medicinal benefits of that part of a pineapple is mind-blowing. Please look into it. I can't remember the details of it. My head's so full of information that it's sometimes hard for me to pluck certain bits out, you know. But yeah, that's definitely good advice. You know, blend it if you have to. Have you put that? It wouldn't surprise me. It contains very high amounts. There you go. See, I started waffling off when I've just read one part of a comment, when all the information's there. I do apologise, Lana. Yeah, bromelain. Simmer with rosemary, cloves, fresh grated ginger, and some turmeric, good old turmeric. But again, you know, try and get that from a good source. I've got hiccups. Have a cuppa, then let it rest, cool, and bottle it. Great advice. Store in fridge as shots. Yeah, so if we ever did shots, Lana, I think my version of shots and your version of shots would be very, very different. I'll be right back. I just need to nip to the gents. Nip into the gents. Always sounds a lot better than going for a piss. It's a lovely song, Michael, and I get songs in my head and I can't get rid of them. Just can't get rid of them. They're just in there. They just play on loop. I think they call them earworms. Are you still there, Kirsty? If you are, I apologise for the bread porn comment, because I'm sure that your audience is very, very wholesome, you know, but I couldn't resist it. That loaf of bread looked like, something was happening, you know. It looked amazing. My bread machine's fucked, so I just make the dough and then make a loaf, and none of them look like that. So we've had bus porn from Michael and bread porn from Kirsty. How lovely is that? Two brand new niches to the porn industry, completely untapped. Oh, I'm glad, because once I'd sent it, there was, you know, nothing I could do about it. Well, I think I could have deleted it, but I thought no, because that was bread porn. You make a nice loaf, a very nice loaf, Kirsty, you know, and that's one of my favourite chat-up lines. You make a lovely loaf. I'm gonna go out for a loaf. So I've planted me snowberry. I had to get my bottle bottom glasses to find these fucking seeds. You get 20 seeds that you can almost not see. They're that small. And it was £6. So you imagine growing your own snowberry bush and then harvesting those seeds. You can make a fortune. Me and Michael were discussing this earlier on. You know, there are opportunities out there for us to make money without being part of, again, the whole digital ID slavery system. It's a funny one because Cunt Starmer has backtracked, because that's the power of the people. When enough people say no, all right, that's the government, all right. If there's enough, the same applies now to smart meters, conscriptions, the backtracked on that, which is why they're aiming for our senior citizens, retirees. Oh, the list goes on. The backtracked. And that's because of all these sold to the devil social scientists that are watching and analysing us. And they're like, Oh, you need to back up on that one. Back up on that one. They're getting a bit riled. It would be nice if the people who live here, and excluding the cockroaches, because they are invaders. It doesn't matter how you look at it, they're invaders. To just forget our differences just for a little while, you know, a little bit like the British and the German soldiers on Christmas Day, you know, showing, you know, that really happened. There's lots of documented evidence of that happening. If we could do the same, you know, with the Muslims, for example, that again, chalk and cheese, oil and water, they don't go together. They don't belong here. It's a Christian country. And they want to turn it into an Islamic country with Sharia law. Not happening. But if we can just put that aside temporarily, at least, and everyone focus on the same enemy, the common cause, our government, we'd have one less front to fight on and be able to focus our energy towards Westminster. And I know it goes way beyond Westminster, and I'm aware of that, but you win big wars one battle at a time. And that's what we need to focus on. We can see the ripples in the picture frame behind you on top of the shelves. Oh, I'm glad you can see it. You can't really appreciate it as much as I can, because it's just so beautiful. It's so soothing, you know? And unlike this LED spotlight that I've got in my face, a lot of YouTubers, they buy these big ring ones that are quite bright. I'm an organic guy doing this. I'm not a YouTuber. I'm not a professional YouTuber. I'm just Terry, you know? But I know that this LED light is actually a strobe, but because of the rate of the strobe being quicker than the rate of my vision, it just looks like a constant, but I know it's not. Whereas looking up at the ceiling and seeing this aurora, you know, and there's loads of different settings. It's got a little remote control, you know, you can just, it's also got a little, it's got DMX as well. So you just press the DMX button and then bang some tunes on and it goes with the music. Brilliant. It's only about £4 delivered. And another thing that I bought as well, let me just read the comments first. I don't want to fall behind. I get sidetracked so easily, you know. But I'm glad you like it, Michael. I'll leave it to you in my will. Terry, what is the best sage to grow for tea? The common one or a particular variety like white sage? They're all good, all of them. But I would go for sage that's got broader leaves. And find one that's that fits perfectly within your growing zone. You know, it'll grow in most growing zones. It's so hardy. It's ridiculously hardy. It's so tough. You forget to water it for a couple of weeks, and it's still fine. It's absolutely fine. It's almost like a succulent. It's incredible, and it's an evergreen. I can pick from that all year round. You can barely see the Buddha's head, but they're all good. They're all good. I've just bought another one, Lana. Sage. The amount of varieties of sage, or is that sage? Let me just get it. Again, sage is so beneficial to your health, and if you go to any herbalist for pre and post-menopausal issues, right? Again, you know, bless you ladies, we don't have any of that shit. We do, I think men do go through a form of menopause, but it just gets called a midlife crisis. You know, like it's irrelevant, like it doesn't matter. And people wonder why 3 times, well, I'm not quite sure, without looking, I know it's a massive amount more men commit suicide than women, you know, and that could be a hormonal imbalance, but different, because we still produce testosterone until we die, whereas women, they stop producing so much estrogen because they go through the change. So women go through so much more shit than men, you know, and I just hope all men recognise that and understand that, and just give women a bit of a break. Anyway. So I've sent, because I've got like a brick wall that goes all the way down the left-hand side of the garden, and then I've got another little brick wall thing, and there's a few little spaces that I thought, yeah, you know, that would look really fucking gorgeous there and edible at the same time. So it's like, you know, an eye candy plant, but also edible. And I can make tea out of it and stuff like that, you know. Again, this is how we should be. You know, if you can make your garden look gorgeous just by growing stuff that you can eat, it's a no-brainer. I'm sure it's a sage. Bear with me. Oh man, look at that. You know, I am Team U Terry. No. We decided on that, didn't we? Team U Terry's not as flattering as Tripod Terry. So forget I said that. Nah, it's time. Right. So I've got a creeping thyme. And it's just so beautiful and edible. And it just creeps. It doesn't need, you just drop a few little seeds into a little crack in between a couple of bricks, you know, and then sprinkle a bit of soil over the top, put a bit of water on there, and it'll find its way. And then when it forms a root system, the root system holds on to anything else that kind of just lands in there, you know. Again, when deforestation occurs, desertation occurs, because there are no roots. There's no roots holding everything together. And it's the root system and all the tiny little roots that come off the bigger roots that hold all the soil in place. So anyway, it's a creeping thyme. And I just think it's just perfect for the garden. I want to try and utilize every single bit of that garden. I bought loads of shit, and a lot of it was because of Kirsty. She went through things that she'd researched herself from good sources, and more importantly, tried and tested stuff. So Heart's Humble Homestead, you know, go over and have another look. Can it be grown indoors on a windowsill? Oh no, it's just jumped up. Windowsill, or is it outdoor best for it? I would say outdoors is, look, any plant is going to do better outdoors if it's in the right growing zone. It's always going to be the case. But it's such an incredible plant that it will grow on your windowsill. But I don't think you're going to get as much out of it, you know. Or will you? I've never given it a go, Lana. I've never tried. But if I was to give an honest opinion, windowsills would be fine. Yeah, as long as you've got a decent sized pot and plenty of sunshine. It loves sunshine, you know, which is mad, really. It's like, how is that doing so well? But then it's in a position where it's in a part of the garden, halfway down the garden, where it gets sun all day long. So it does need sun. It needs sun. Sage needs sun, full sun. If you want to get the best out of it. But yeah, utilize your windowsills, you know. And I mean, I do feel quite lucky, but then I started off early. It's not like I've had to shell out thousands and thousands of pounds to get this and get that and get that and get that and get that all at once, like some people are doing. Some people that are just suddenly waking up now and thinking, fuck. You know, all of this has been gradually accrued over the last 5-6 years. So I've not had that kind of massive financial hit all at once. So I am quite lucky. I've got a grow tent upstairs that I can get in pots with a diameter like that. I could probably get 30 plants up and running without any natural sunlight to give them a head start. And then I've got me little spotlight that I had to get some. I had to snip and snip and snip and destroy it so that I could fit this grow lamp that fans out. There's 3 that fan out. I can grow 4 or 5 start off pots underneath that, and then you can buy these from Temu. Now, the grow lights that I've got are they're not top of the range, but they're all right. They are all right. These are not as good as all right, but they'll still do the job. So it's just a little greenhouse like that. You get 2. So this one's already connected, as you can see. I've not connected the other one up, just so that I can show you. Yeah. And they're the grow lights. So it does hit the spectrum, but they're not amazing. They're not state of the art, but they will do the job. And it's the full system. It comes with a set of 2 and extremely low powered. Again, I'm not affiliated with Temu. So if I was, I'd turn around and go, and this is a seller that you need to go through to get this at that price, this particular seller. I'm not going to say that because I'm not affiliated. I'm not affiliated with anyone. The only time I ever get affiliated, but then not really affiliated, is when I managed to talk someone on eBay, talk them into putting a code out to bring 10% off, you know. But even then, that's not an affiliation because I don't get anything for it. I get the same 10% off as you do. Because as soon as you start turning around to these people and saying, but would you mind, and I've never done that, by the way, would you mind sending me out some for free and I'll make sure you're all right? You know, I'll get all my subscribers to buy stuff off you. I've never done that. If I just leave that bit out completely, it incentivizes the sellers, you know? So no point in complicating things from the off. And it's USB powered. So very, very low powered. And I used just a bog standard power bank. I got 3 hours out of it. Just over 3 hours. So if you're looking at trying to get an 8 hour, well, you can get power banks that would be able to power this for 8 hours. But then you're going to need to recharge that, put enough power back into it to give it another 8 hours. So it's just something, it's all well and good being able to power this and power that with solar or your own independent renewable source of energy. It's all good. It's all good. It's brilliant. You know, run your washer, brilliant, right? Power your fridge forever, brilliant. All from solar, brilliant, right? But you've always got to bear in mind that you've got to replenish that, especially if you've got something like a power bank or a posh power bank like a solar generator. You've got to replenish it all. Now, I did put a post out into the in the post section. No, it was a short. I put a short out. I'm sure you've seen it, about solar panels. Now, some people might say, well, actually, Terry, haven't you got solar panels? Yes, I have. I have. But none of them are connected. They'll be connected when they need to be connected up, and none of them will be attached to the house by way of being attached to the roof. They'll all be down halfway down the garden where the sage is, where the sun shines during winter and during summer. It's a north-facing garden, but because it's so long, I benefit from that. So just bear that in mind. You know, if you caved into one of these companies that comes around to your house saying, look, you know, you could halve your electricity bill if you have these solar panels put on your roof. But what they don't tell you is that for 10 years, that roof doesn't fucking belong to you anymore. It belongs to them because you've signed a contract with them. So all of a sudden, if you need to sell your house 5 years in, right, and then you've got potential buyers coming around, and they're like, oh, I love the solar. It's brilliant. Is it independent? Are they yours? No. Oh. Anyway, it was nice seeing you. Thanks for the cup of tea. Gone. It's a complication. It forms a complication. Unless you can afford to shell out, I don't know, 8, 9, 10 grand to have a solar setup on your roof. But even then, you know, it's all down to the storage facility you've got and whether or not you're feeding that back to the grid or not. They can cause, having it directly plumbed into your house can cause all sorts of problems. All sorts of problems, which is why mine are completely separate. My setup will be very crude, but it will do the job. It'll be effective, efficient, and do what I need it to do. I've got about 1,000 watts of solar panels, and I've got a decent inverter and a really, really good full sine wave solar controller that can handle 1,000 watts, no problem. But then you need to be able to store that electricity. So then you're looking at a shitload of leisure batteries, or what are the other ones called, Lana? See, I go off on one and I just take too much off into my head, you know. Yeah, sage tea is lovely. I drink it. I have at least 1 cup a day, at least. This is the sage plant I got from eBay for culinary use. Oh, you posh bastard, Michael. You sound so fucking posh. Are you? Yeah, you're culinary. Yeah. I'm just fucking with you, mate. I do apologise. I've not tried it yet. Main reason I want one is for sage and onion stuffing. Oh, proper Englishman, you know, fucking English. Go on, Jordan. Sage is Mediterranean, loves the sun. It loves the sun, and that's why that sage plant has thrived and become as big as it is. You know, it shouldn't really be alive. In fact, I don't even think I've fed it. That's right. That's now on my list of things to do, is to feed it, give it a little bit more, give it some more nutrients. But then the sage leaves, again, has anyone ever seen these Victorian contained ecosystems where they've got one plant and it's sealed, completely sealed with wax, right? In a big glass globe. And there's one plant growing in there. And it's its own ecosystem. So the moisture, the water that was in there, ends up going up to the top and then dripping down like rain. And then as the seasons come and the seasons go, it drops its leaves. And then the leaves turn into nutrition for the plant to grow back again. And then the moisture goes back up and drips back down again. Anyone ever seen that? It's amazing, amazing. I don't even know why I don't even know why I mentioned it. I've got no idea. Let me see if I can find some relevance to that. No, nothing. Anyway, it's still amazing. And I've seen a few of them. And they're 120 years old. Same plant, still alive. It's got its own ecosystem. Oh, yeah, right. So all of the sage leaves that are on the top that die off, obviously they die off eventually, and then new ones grow. And all the ones that die off, that have died off over the top of the sage plant, have gone back into the soil and then degraded and turned into a source of nitrogen, which is, you know, it's like nitrogen and CO2 to a plant is like oxygen to us. So I think that's what it's been feeding itself. That's what I've been trying to think. What went right in the fucking hours to do it. Yeah, it doesn't like overwatering at all. No. Good to know. Thanks. I am the same with my items. Been getting them for years, so I have a decent amount of gardening items. Bought most of it at the end of summer in the sales. Yeah, that's brilliant common sense. But then the prepper mentality is orientated around common sense, pure common sense. And this is why we get a little bit frustrated with other people quite easily. Well, I'm speaking for myself. We get a little bit frustrated because we're just thinking this is common sense. Why are you not thinking like this? And I know that I'm not the only one that thinks like that, you know? And I've altered my approach a little bit online in comment sections, and I've become a little bit more aggressive. And I don't mean that in a bad way, because I'm not a bad person. I'm not a nasty person. I'm not. But I remember this one email, and I've mentioned it before, this one email where this guy was a right cunt. And I just returned and say, like, would you like to meet up so you can speak to me like that to my face? Nothing. Crickets. Tumbleweed. Nothing. But that one, and I'm not on about that David. He's fucking irrelevant. This was someone else. Someone just, yeah. But that rudeness, you know, that aggressive email sent me off in a completely different direction, a direction that I should have been on, but I am on now. Changed everything. So I'm thinking, if that worked for me, the pussyfooting around approach doesn't work. You go in there like that, and it pisses people off, which is French for getting their attention, you know. So I have been saying, so to give this relevance to the comment, when people are saying, you know, fuck the digital ID and I'm not going digital and all that, and I'm like, So then I've gone straight in there and said, right, part of the digital ID slavery system is that they are going to completely and totally obliterate the economy of all countries, but let's focus on the UK. They're going to obliterate the economy to the point where there won't be any jobs, which means that the only way that you're going to be able to buy food is through a CBDC system. Now, that CBDC system is going to come with caveats. Those caveats are going to be a carbon credit system and allowance, a social credit system, watch what you say, and you've got to be up to date with all of your vaccinations. So, have you got a plan B, or are you a tard like everyone else? Something along those lines. They're not, it's not like an identical comment for every single person, every single man, every single woman, but it's along those lines to hopefully offend them and piss them off that much that they get their fucking shit together. The more people that create a buffer zone for what's coming, the better, because that will put a massive chunk of the public in a position where they can say, fuck off. Everyone needs a buffer zone. Everyone. Now, whether you can manage to, again, I was about to say, if you can manage like a 3-month buffer zone, that'd be good. That would be good. But that's 3 months worth of water and food. It's a lot. Unless you've got a rainwater catchment system, but people live in flats. However, the chance of them cutting your water off is very, very slim. Having said that, it's terrible water. So at least have the means to be able to turn it into good water and then store it. So a buffer system, just a buffer zone. Everyone needs to have a buffer zone. This is something we've been doing for thousands of years. We're not lunatics. We're not fucking weirdos. Preppers aren't weirdos. We're traditionalists. It's anyone that's not prepping are fucking weirdos. Think about it. But yeah, you're spot on there, Kirsty. Just buying stuff in at the end of season for that, end of season for that, end of season for that. Save your money and just keep buying and keep buying and keep buying, keep growing. Getting whatever bits of equipment you can afford to get in. Again, food and water comes above all. If you can't heat your home and it's fucking freezing cold, put another layer on. If you're still not warm, put another layer on. Right? Food and water. It just puts everyone in a position where they can turn around and go fuck yourself. So you're not held to ransom, because that's what they're trying to do. Mandy, I think solar panels look ugly. They are ugly. And bear in mind that 0 point energy, like Tesla energy, it exists. We don't need it. It's all part of the slavery system, because we haven't got the technology in our homes to provide our homes with the power that we need to keep warm and keep light and keep our appliances running. We haven't got that technology in our homes. It's the same as we don't need petrol, I mean, people look around at these EVs and electric scooters and electric bicycles. What are you, 90, Terry? This technology was around 100 years ago, over 100 years ago. It was all there. Please feel free to do a bit of research, but don't do lazy research. Do a proper bit of research, because you don't want people realizing that all they've done is brought back a fucking technology that we had over 100 years ago. They want everything to look new, a brand new concept, when that's bullshit. In fact, the electrical vehicles that they had back then were probably safer than the ones we've got now. You couldn't make this shit up. Lithium ion. Yeah, but what are the name of the batteries, Lorna? I'm sorry I fell behind again. Well, yeah, lithium batteries. I mean, I've got a couple, and one cost me over £500. I mean, it's fucking they're expensive. I've got two. That's all I've got. But I've got loads of leisure batteries. But the shelf life of a leisure battery, it's recharge, deplete, recharge, deplete, recharge, deplete, over and over and over again. You can only recharge them and deplete them so many times. It's the same with EVs, and the same with lithium ion batteries. But the lithium ion batteries are more, you can recharge them and deplete them a lot more. They've got a longer life, a much longer life than, say, the lead ones, you know. But yeah, EVs. I look at EVs. Look at the way that we've become, right? So, say in the 70s, everyone would have like a razor that I've got. They'd have something like that, or a butterfly, right? You know, mine takes no prisoners, especially with a new blade in there. It's like someone's thrown a fucking rabid cat at my face. In the early days, I've got used to it now, right? To a degree. But now, disposable razors, disposable this, nappies. When I was a kid, they made nappies. They named nappies after me. You know, they named them after me. That's how much of a fucking big deal I was when I was born. I changed the world. Terry Tarlin. Just realised, if that was true, they've named something after me that was designed to be shat on and pissed on. But anyway, so now we've got disposable nappies. Everything's disposable. EVs are disposable cars. They're fucking disposable cars. So it's going to get to the point where it's been recharged, depleted, recharged, depleted. You get the idea, right? To the point where you're going to get out of a full charge 50 miles. Then you're going to need a full recharge again. But then that recharge won't take very long because of the capacity of the battery is so depleted. So you either shell out £35,000 to £45,000 for a brand new battery bank in an old, what would be considered to be an old used car, or you get a new one. That is in and of itself retarded. So anyone that's got an EV, if anyone's listening now, if you've got an EV, you're a fucking retard. You're driving around in a disposable car. Hybrids, they're different. They're different. I'm quite a fan of them. I am. Because it won't cost you anywhere near that much money to replace those batteries. So you're driving along using petrol in a very, very clean engine, you know, because of the level of technology that we're at now. Having said that, if you're in a brand new car now, everything that you're doing, everything you're saying in the car, everywhere you go is all being monitored. Everything. So have a think about that. You know, I've got a few people said, Terry, you know, when you wrote your RAV off in that flood water almost exactly a year ago, not far off, why didn't you buy yourself a much newer car? Now you know. So I bought myself a reliable old car. You know, it's not all singing, it's not all dancing. It's got aircon that works, which is good, you know. But it's got nothing else. There's no built-in sat nav. There's no built-in this and built-in that and built-in all that. You know, you don't fucking need it. The more you've got, in fact, on top of the fact that your car is spying on you, if you've got a new car, and harvesting your data, you've got 50 times more things to go fucking wrong with it to get it through its MOT. Keep things simple. Well, I think I might have missed. Bear with me. I do apologise. I apologise so fucking much, and it's because it's a habit that I need to get out of, but I can't. We don't realise at the time, only later on, same as accepting discipline. Exactly. Yeah. Discipline is good. It's good for us. It really is. Again, I need to find another club. Lana, are they the best batteries to go to store? Yeah, they're brilliant. Really, really good. Again, they do need to be depleted and recharged for the health of the battery and its longevity. They do, you know. So just sticking them into a cupboard and just forgetting about them is a waste of money. You do need to get them out now and then, charge them up, let them deplete a little bit. That's just my opinion. But they are expensive. If going down that route, turn water off and drain system to avoid burst frozen pipes. See what happens when I get behind in the winter. Yeah, spot on. Yeah, and again, utilizing as much water in your, trying to figure out and suss out your entire central heating system. You wouldn't believe how much water's in there. And then make sure you've got a little key, you know. You see these things here. That they're so cheap, and that will get all the water out of your radiator. So you just turn it a few times, and then just start filling your water up and then filtering it, you know. So there's gallons and gallons and gallons of water in your house. And then if you don't live in a flat, you know, and you've got somewhere where you can rig something to your drain pipe and then start catching rainwater. I mean, mine's not ideal because it's catching it off a tar thing roof, gravel tar. I don't know what the technical term is for it, but it's not an ideal roof to catch water off. But I'm a survivalist. It doesn't fucking matter. I've got ways of purifying it off grid, so I can turn it into completely safe drinking water. So yeah, your central heating system, and every now and then you should just bleed your radiators. And if it starts to squirt out like your central heating system's got the shits, then maybe bleed all of your radiators until it's clean water coming out. It's not going to be a 5-minute job. It's not a 5-minute job, but it's worth doing from a prepping standpoint. Hi, Jordan. I've been making a list of everything that I wear, use, or eat. See my shortfalls, what I can grow, preserve, improve. Exactly. Yeah. I think everyone needs to sit down and do that every now and then, maybe once a month, you know, half an hour once a month. I mean, I don't know what percentage of a month that is, but it's fuck all and it's worth it. On top of knowing your kit as well. So I had some like camo trousers. I'll show you. I don't need to show. I will show you. Men and women, right, have got certain jeans or certain trousers that they fucking love because they know that it complements their body. You know, it's like, yeah, I know I look all right in these. You know, it's not an ego thing. It's not It's not, you know what I mean? You know, something that you feel comfortable and you feel that you know that you look all right in them. You know that you look all right in them. Fuck what anyone else thinks. And these, you know, but because they're quite tight fitting, I did squat down to pick something up and then I heard this noise. So they needed to be repaired because I wasn't prepared to throw them away because I really like them. So I repaired them with this. Now, initially I was a bit nervous because I've never used it before. And that's the problem. Hold on. We can have spare bedrooms full of loads of equipment and gear, our loft full to the rafters, full of equipment and gear, and our garden shed full to the rafters of equipment and gear that nobody has ever fucking used. That's all right. It must be simple. It's going to be straightforward. I'll use it when this shit hits the fan. That's not a good attitude. It's not. It really isn't. Everyone needs to familiarize themselves with their equipment, with their gear. You know, I mean, I've shown it in a video. I know I have. A little sewing machine that runs off 12 volt. It's got a little, you know, I've not got an adapter for it, so it's running off batteries at the moment. But I've never used it. I've still never used that. I've used this hand one. I'll show you the box as well because this is one of the most mass-produced handheld sewing machines. So if you recognise the box, you'll know which one to go for. It's called Handy Stitch, and there are loads and loads and loads of videos on YouTube on how to use this, and then how to when you run out of cotton on one of your reels, it shows you how to reconnect it and, you know, string it all back up again. But all of this gear that everyone's got and they've never ever used any of it, you don't want to be learning to try and use it when you're stressed out, because people are going to feel, everybody, including me, are going to feel some level of stress when the shit finally hits that fan. So don't leave it till then to suddenly try and figure out how to work this and how to do that when your head's kind of like spinning a little bit, you know, because society has just suddenly gone to shit. Don't leave it till then. At least get the basics down, just the basics, and that's all I did. You know, all I did was just kind of go. Well, not whilst I was wearing them. No. That's not good. Don't do anything like that, because then your trousers can literally become part of your body, and that's not how they were designed. But yeah, you know, just familiarize with yourself with your gear. You know, learn how to use it. You see, Michael is more familiar with a Berkey filter than I am. I've only used one once, but I know what I'm doing with it because I used it once. When we've gone wild camping together, I'm sure Michael would have noticed, I was very confident with where we were, and I was drinking straight from that stream. because I felt comfortable and confident. Whereas Michael was probably being a lot more sensible than me and using his Berkey. So even using a Berkey, just something as simple as using a Berkey, familiarize yourself with it. Learn how to backwash, because it's all important. And then make sure you don't, once it's been used once, never allow it to succumb to sub-zero temperatures, because it's fucked then. That's it. It's fucked. Something that could purify hundreds of thousands of gallons of water. Hundreds of thousands of gallons. Bearing in mind there's nearly 4 litres to a gallon. Fucked. Because you allowed it to get cold. But again, just familiarise yourself with your kit. It's so important. I keep telling myself I need to start getting into that suture stitching, skin stitching kit that I've got, so I can learn to properly stitch, because we've got very, very, very uncertain times ahead of us. There are going to be casualties. There are going to be massive losses in order to win. So learning things like that, learning half decent first aid, like at least trying to get at a minimum St. John's ambulance at a minimum. And then once you've got there, go up a notch by learning to suture, and then learning about plants that can act as coagulants and stuff like that, oh fucking hell, it grows in most herb robert, right? So learning about plants and what plants you can put on there if you've not got anything to use as an antiseptic but then honey, again, get loads and loads of honey in, not the cheap shit that's like £70 a pot. None of that. The only reason they get away with saying pure honey on the label is because there is pure honey in there, but it's probably about 20%. It's a loophole in the law. So they can get away with saying pure honey because there is pure honey in there, but it's mixed in with a really unhealthy syrup. So there is a website. I'm not quite sure what it is. Lana, I'm sorry, sweetheart. I do apologise. Or Michael, if you can look up the website where you can find your local honey. There's a website and you can find your local honey dealer, your local beekeepers within like a 10-mile radius. And that's the honey you should be buying. And if you go direct to the beekeeper, you cut out the middleman. So it still works out cheaper than going to a shop and buying good quality honey that's still got the pollen in there, and that pollen is extremely good for you. And the honey is, again, just using really good quality organic honey from your local beekeeper. If you've got a bit of a cut that's going a bit funny, put a smear of honey over the top of it. Antibacterial, antifungal. Bosh. If you've got a bigger cut and you can't stitch and you've got no bandages, or you've got bandages but they're a bit crude, cayenne pepper. Right into the middle of it. Then honey, and then a tight bandage. Let it do its thing. Nature's got everything you need. And again, I know I've mentioned this before, and everyone's cayenne pepper in an open wound. Fuck me, that's going to work. It's going to work. It's hurting already. It's already hurting. But you don't want it to go funny, because if sepsis kicks in or necrosis kicks in, it spreads. You don't want to be a dead man. You want to be a survivor. Let's go for a top up. Yeah, there is a website that's it's like a local honey locator, and it's been on my list of things to do for the last 2 or 3 days, and I've just simply not got around to doing it. But it's important because if you suffer from allergies, for example, local honey can help with that, especially hay fever. I mean, hay fever. It's not exactly a fatal condition, but it can run you down so much to the point where you become open and vulnerable to other diseases and conditions. So it sort of reverts back to the whole "you are what you eat" thing. You know, keep your body healthy, and you'll be all right. And again, someone who was sick. Oh, no, I think I mentioned that in the last live stream. Again, you see, I don't know what I've mentioned and what I haven't mentioned because the average live stream is like 4 hours long. I don't know what I've said and what I haven't said. So sometimes I'll repeat myself. Again, who else does 4-hour live streams every single Friday and talks about fresh stuff every time? You know, I can't think of anyone. So good quality honey, blended garlic and blended ginger, and maybe blended cloves as well to help with the sinuses in honey. If you have that like three times a day, every day, even when you're not feeling like you've got any symptoms, it's a preventative measure that your body's still going to be getting lots and lots of goodness from that. Lots. So it's a preventative thing. Or 2 times a day, 1 teaspoon in the morning, 1 teaspoon at night. And it will never, ever, ever go off. That ginger and that garlic is suspended in that honey indefinitely, forever. So you've got something that blows all of these little over-the-counter remedies out of the water, and there's no best before date or use by date. None. Completely organic. And I've got a shitload. I need to send some off to Lana. But because I fucked one of the tinctures up, I didn't screw it up. I've rectified it. It's all good now. In fact, can you hear the bottles? Every time I open the fridge and close the fridge, there's clang, 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 clang. I've got bottles and bottles and bottles of good quality natural medicines on top of my fridge in dark bottles, in from bottles of wine that I've kind of like I've just sat down, chilled out, had a couple of glasses of wine one night, maybe a couple of glasses of wine the next night. Over a weekend, you know, or when I've gone to the caravan, and then I've just soaked those bottles in warm, hot, soapy warm water, and then I've reutilized the bottles because they're either dark green or dark brown. Because one thing you don't want is direct sunlight getting into your tinctures and stuff, you know. So you need to get coloured bottles. You don't want clear bottles because it degrades the potency of the tincture, right? But in dark bottles, kept in a dark place, that'll keep for years and years and years. So that's yours, Lana. It'll be coming your way. Me and Lana have exchanges. You know, she gives me stuff, I give her stuff. We've got a good thing going on. The only thing me and Lana aren't doing right now, I mean, we're so fucking on top of everything, is people smuggling. And that's next level. We've been discussing it. That's what we're going to be doing next. I'm only joking. That's quite a sick joke, actually. And that's mine. So it's 50% ethanol and 50% water. but with rose hips. So that's a vitamin C punch in the fucking face. And then this is what I call throat honey. Oh no, I've got it all over my laptop. It's very sticky. I could have just told you about it, you know. Little bit of seepage going on. Seepage is one of those words that I think is disgusting. Oh, I feel like I'm like a seepage DJ. Oh dear, you know. Anyway, let me catch you up. Oh my god. That's right, Lana. Yeah, Life PO4. Because they've got a good reputation, and that's what I've got two of. One of them is Bluetooth enabled. I can monitor the health of the battery through my phone, but I don't bother. Why the fuck do you need Bluetooth? You know, in fact, about 3 years ago, when I was a little bit vulnerable still, I bought an electric toothbrush. It's a very good toothbrush, but that's Bluetooth enabled, just so you can change the color of it, you know. And then you go into the app, you download this app, and then you like, you know, it wants to know your name, address, and all of that. And I'm like, oh, fuck off. You know, why do you need to know all that? I just want to change the color of it to green or red, whatever. But yeah, Life PO4, they're very, very, very good. Very good. They've got a good reputation. I'd never have an EV car like riding on a giant mobile phone battery. Exactly. I mean, look, considering the amount of EVs that are out there right now, I've never seen one on fire. Considering the amount of electric bikes and electric scooters out there, I've not known of anyone around here where the house has gone up, you know. But it's still a risk, and most people won't buy an EV unless they've got they can facilitate charging it up at home, because it works out at a fraction of the cost of joining some big fuck off queue at the petrol station. You know, massive queue, 10 cars, 2 chargers. I'm sure it's more than that now. But if I had an EV and I was charging that at home, and the garage was built into my home and it was in the garage charging, I wouldn't be able to sleep. Again, I think people that have got EVs are mugs. I think they're mugs that have caved in to propaganda and bullshit. Very naive. So again, if anyone listening has got an EV, it is what it is. You know, take it or leave it. It's the truth. And I think the vast majority of sane, practical, common sense people would fucking agree with me. My brother-in-law's got one, but before the one that he bought, before this EV that he's got now, he had a hybrid. Now, even when I was like 12, 13 years old, I was thinking then, if I've got a light on the front of my bike that's being powered by my pedals, and the pedals are being powered by me, then why can't that be adopted into the car industry at 12, 13 years old? And voila, here we are. It makes complete and total sense. It's a great combination. But again, you've got people that are buying EVs and they go like, yeah, I got an EV. Got an EV. Is it a Tesla? No. No, I couldn't afford one of them. It's a Chinese one. Oh, all right. Okay. That's nice. Are you aware that it's a disposable car that could set your entire house on fire because you can't put the flames out? It's impossible. They have to bring specialized equipment and then pick it up, bring it across and put it into a bath of water because you can't put it out with conventional firefighting techniques. No. Oh, okay. Anyway, see you later, whoever you are. Makes no fucking sense to me whatsoever. And then you go, well, why did you get an EV? Why? Saving the planet. Oh, you're coming at me from that angle. No matter what angle you come at me from with EVs, I'll cut you down. I will fucking cut you down. And anyone else with the same brain will cut them down too. Because for the average sized car, so you're looking at something between a small car and an SUV, for example, right? I know that we've got buses and trucks and stuff like that. I mean, that's a whole new level of fuck up and retardery. And retardery is not a word. It should be. The average sized car, so say something, a saloon sized car, like the average Tesla, to get the battery that fits a Tesla, the average Tesla car, not the truck, normal car, saloon, 500,000 tons of earth needs to be excavated in order to get enough lithium to power the batteries required for that one fucking car. And they're still using child labor. And then where they're processing the ore, the chemicals that are required leach into the ground because a lot of this is done offshore in countries that haven't got the regulations that we have. And countries like England, America, and all the countries that have got regulations know that those regulations aren't there in those countries. So let's use those countries to do the processing in. You know, it's over there. They haven't got those regulations, so it's okay. Those forever chemicals make the ground poisonous for thousands of years. Nothing will grow. So take your being green and shove it up your fucking arse. You virtue signaling cunts, because that's what you are. It's ridiculous. Utterly ridiculous. Ernie was Ernie, the fastest milk cart in the West. Do you know what? First day in office, ban all adverts. Ban them. Ban them.
You could hear the offbeats pound as they raced across the ground, and the clatter of the wheels as they.
This is almost a beret.
And he galloped into Market Street, his badge upon his chest. His name was Ernie, and he drove the fastest milk cart in the West. Now Ernie loved a widow, a lady known as Sue. She lived all alone in Lily Lane at number 22. They said she was too good for him. She was oldie, proud and chic. But Ernie got his cocoa there 3 times every week. They called him Ernie. And he drove the fastest milk cart in the West.
That's enough.
She'd like to bathe in milk. He said, all right, sweetheart. And when he finished work...
You see, we couldn't get away with that shit now. And they call that progressive. They call that progressive. The fact that we've gone from going, it's harmless. It was harmless, you know. Look, yeah, some, you know, again, this is down to the feminist movement. Fucking hell. And they're all lunatics. They are. And a very, very, very powerful family was behind the feminist movement. And whenever any of these families get behind any movement, it's always going to be bad for people like us. But yeah, stuff like that. It was just entertainment. But feminists would turn around and say it was misogynist. You know, you were looking at the female form in a sexual manner. Well, we're men. And then women look at a lot of blokes. Not in the same way. Women are different in that way, in most cases. But it's not like it was doing anyone any harm. It was just British humour. It was Benny Hill. It was Benny Hill. In fact, if anyone should be pissed off, it should be people like me. You know? Ah, dear. You see, everything's the wrong way around. So I'm trying to get symmetrical because I like symmetry. I like everything to look straight because I am. But yeah, thank you for that, Michael. That took the edge off, you know. And all milk carts were electric. This is not new technology. It's old, really old technology that they've just reinvented. They've held it back to try and make as much money, to gain as much power, to gain as much influence as possible, right? To then reintroduce electric vehicles. Money means nothing now. It means nothing. They've all gotten everything that they need to get. They've all gained enough wealth to be able to gain enough power over weak men that have got a price. They've done it. It's all done. But the Great Awakening continues. It continues regardless. It doesn't matter what they throw in front of it. It's you know, they can do things to slow it down. They can do things to hinder it a little bit here and there, but they can't do anything to stop it. Nothing. It's just gaining more and more and more traction. It's completely and utterly inevitable, and I think they know that. Oh shit! I've realised. I'm thinking that no one's commented for a while, and it's because I've not clicked down. I'm just waiting for a big. Oh, here we go. I do apologise, guys. Oh man, but you're used to me now. And by the way, I would like to cut it down to 3 hours, if that's all right, just so that you know. I've not had too many of these. I can take the girls out for their last walk and stuff like that. I think 3 hours is better. You know, nobody else does a 3-hour live stream, you know, without loads of notes and putting things on the screen and distractions and all of that to keep the live stream going. I've not seen anyone do that, you know. So, you know, it's still 3 hours, and yeah. But then this part of me thinking, look, if it's going well at 3 hours, keep going. But then the whole self-discipline is something that everyone needs to. I think everyone needs to work on, and I think most people are doing, apart from me. So I've got some catching up to do. Let me just go up again, make sure I can. I know I'll go through everything. Okay. I'm really, really sorry. Okay, now. God. Right, I'm really, really sorry. Let me just go through. I'm not going to go all the way up, and I'm sorry if I've missed anyone. I genuinely am. EV drivers must be kicking themselves now. Yeah, and rightfully so. Look, there is. I'm going off on one again, but I'll try and keep this short. There are significant purchases, and cars are one of them. And if you're a married couple or whatever, right, it's something that you should discuss as a couple and think through. And then think, right, this is our budget. What's the most practical thing we could do with this amount of money by way of conveyance? So anyone that comes up with, let's get an EV, is a cunt. And they are going to be kicking themselves now because they were incentivized. You won't need to pay any road tax. Well, now you do. You won't need to pay congestion charge. But now you do. You won't need to pay this. You won't need to pay that. You won't need to pay this and that and that. But now you do. But we saw that coming. Narrow-minded, blinkered fuckwits by EVs, and I'll stand by that. And anyone that comes into the chat that wants to argue this out and hash it out, I'm balls deep in it. No problem. No problem. And I will. I'll wipe the floor of you because we've all got logic. It's just logic, you know? Just had a flashback of a Speed 3 Father Ted and the Milk Float one. I don't think I've watched that one, but I would like to because it sounds hilarious. Father Ted was brilliant, and I think it's a shame that it can never be made again. Because you need all. It's like a perfect cake or a perfect loaf or a perfect dish. You've got to have the right ingredients, and you can't have that now because one of the main ingredients is no longer with us. Never let it deplete more than 20% before recharging. Yeah, spot on, Lana. And I wish I'd said that. I do apologise. I dress for warmth, comfort, and crawling around the floor, trying to get the I just snorted. Lana, you know, I've got a very vivid imagination, and now that's stuck in my head, you know. So whenever I feel a bit low, you know, whenever I feel like, you know, oh, for fuck's sake, you know, I'll just picture you on all fours. Well, that doesn't sound right. You know what I mean? Saw your Mini. Berkey is the stainless steel big one. But you don't. The thing is, I saw your Mini. Well, they're both different for different reasons. The Sawyer Mini can go on for hundreds of thousands of gallons. That's a lot of water for one device. But it can't filter out chemicals, just bacteria and viruses, if viruses exist. Whereas a Berkey filter can. But I urge everyone to look up the Berkey filter fraud, right? Where loads of fake filters were entered into the market and were selling at more or less just under the normal price, and people were buying them and they were shit. Look it up. Whereas a Berkey is whereas a Sawyer Mini is a Sawyer Mini. Berkey filters, I have said, you're putting so much trust and so much faith into those filters. I know that the few that I've got now, that I've vac packed in case of a flood, that I can just cut open, put into the Berkey filter, and then get fresh, clean water to clean the Berkey filter out, and then continue to get clean water to clean other things. So there's a place for both, because Berkeys will get rid of a lot of chemicals as well, as long as you've got the right filters. But the packaging, everything identical, but fake. Localhoney.uk. It's the second one. It's not localhoney.uk, although I'm not familiar with that. I've never heard of that, although it makes complete sense because it's very practical and easy to remember. But yeah, the second one is the one I recognise. Thank you, Lorna. You are an absolute star. So if you want to get local honey and cut out the middleman, which means supermarkets and farm shops that add a premium on top of that, those are the links you want to go to and get as much as you can possibly afford, because it's not just about nutrition, it's about wound health, all manner of stuff. Honey, it's so good for you, honey. Oh dear. Hello, Carl. Carl Glue. Carl MC Glue. That's an interesting username. Welcome to the chat, my friend. Much love, brother. It was the first time I used one. I got another one after as a backup. I've got 4. I've got little kits, but they're all kits. I bought little army like boxes, with a spare litre bag to go in there as well. It comes with one anyway. So I've got 2 litre bags. I've got loads and loads of stuff all in one. I demonstrated it in a video, but I've got 4, and I finally got around to buying a camo one because I love camo, But you can buy insulated sleeves that do protect your soya from freezing cold temperatures. But again, they're very expensive for what they are. You could make one yourself, or you could just get your Sawyer Mini. If you're wild camping during the winter, or if you're bugging out during the winter, get your Sawyer Mini after you've used it and you've purified the water, and put it down your boxer shorts or put it in your bra, and that'll keep it safe and that'll keep it functional. Honey found in Egyptian tombs, still good to go. Yeah, 2,000 years, no problem. It's amazing stuff, incredible stuff. There's nothing like it. It's incredible. My dad won't eat honey because he thinks it's bee puke. And then you've got vegans that won't eat it because it's a product of an animal. You couldn't make this shit up. The fucking retardation of oh man, I've included my dad in that, which I feel bad about. But you get where I'm coming from. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. As long as you've left them with enough to see them through the winter, which is the point of honey, then, there's no harm done and you're going to benefit from it. And beekeepers are called beekeepers for a reason. They look after the bees. They make sure that they're all right. You're welcome, Lana, for whatever you're saying. Thank you very much for. I'm sorry, I'm way behind here. Fucking hell. I got the DJ thing though. I wasn't sure if you could hear it through the mic. Yeah, yeah. Ibiza, here I come. You might like this book. Problem with EV is when it's had a bump because of battery cell damage when charging. Yeah, that's another problem. When it's had a bump, you've got a completely different set of problems with it, you know, and it can become more and more volatile. And you don't want a volatile potential fucking massive mega bomb in your garage when your bedroom's directly above it, you know, unless it goes whilst you both synchronize an orgasm. Because you wouldn't give a fuck because you've just had one. I'm so sorry. Grow up, Terry. EVs are so heavy, ruining the roads. Yeah, they go through so much. Yeah, you see, they should be charged more road tax than us, as opposed to less. And they go through way more tires than us. There are places in this world where there are mountains of tires just sat there degrading away because it's no longer natural rubber. So it's not properly biodegradable anymore because of the chemicals that are added to it for its longevity. You know? So again, any EV driver out there, go fuck yourself. You're a moron. How can you have an EV truck when you're carrying flammable liquids? Well, yeah, exactly. That's the common sense question, you know. But Tesla have just, again, this was another video that I put in the post section, right? So Tesla have just released a new EV truck, right? Or semi, as they call it in America, a semi, right? Now get this. Please feel free to look this up yourself. The amount of energy required to fully recharge one of these trucks equals the amount of electricity used in all of the houses of an average sized town. Yeah. Let that fucking sink in. How green is that? An entire town would need to go without electricity. A decent sized town as well. We're not talking about a small town, something bigger than Long Eaton, to fully charge one of these semi trucks, EV trucks. It's a fucking joke. The whole thing's a joke. I posted a short, probably a couple of years ago now, where there was an EV charging station that was being powered by a massive diesel generator. You know, this is why I say you're a fucking retard if you've got an EV. You're a retard. You are retarded. You're a fucking moron and part of the problem. You can't put them out. They're so incredibly incendiary. It's ridiculous. It's mental. Behold a pale horse book. Yeah. Anything that Lana puts in there is going to be interesting enough to download and safe. I guarantee it. I put my reputation on the line. I really do. She's a good girl. Send me that, Lana, if you don't mind. Send it on X. Electric cars should be able to recharge themselves via motion and not. Yeah, but that's the again, that's why I'm quite, quite happy about the whole combination of the two. So the motion of your wheels are recharging the battery so much to the point where it cuts out the petrol and then jumps straight into the electric until the electric starts to run low. And these cars, these up-to-date cars, automatically jump from one to the other. Back, forth, back, forth. They do it automatically. But again, these new cars are all data harvesting machines on wheels. They're listening to what you're saying. They're listening to music. They're watching where you're going. They're following everything, even if you leave your phone at home, so you don't want to be followed, you know, so you're not being tracked and traced, you know. It doesn't matter. Your car's doing all of that, all of it. That's why I've got an old car, another old car. Ooh, that just jumped up a little bit. Hello, Lee. Good to see you, brother. I remembered your name, which is not good, which is not normal for me. I don't remember names very well, but I remember you giving your name. We're all waving again. Harry Shimble's Homestead. Harry Shimble's. Oh, mate, I've had about 3 or 4 vodkas, mate, and I'm struggling to be able to pronounce that. I can read it, but the processing from the brain to the audible part is becoming slightly dysfunctional, which is why I'm saying let's stick to 3 hours. And by the way, everyone, Lee, which is UK-11-11-prepper, has just put out a brand new video today. So well worth listening to. Again, it's good to listen to different people's perspectives on what's happening. And I really like Lee's channel, which is why I'm subscribed and which is why I've got all notifications on full. So, yeah, so please go over and watch Lee's latest video. It's a good one. Watch out, Lana. He's behind you. I'm taking the fact that I'm a little bit behind in the chat, and I was picturing Lana down on all fours. And I'm sorry, Lana, but that is already in there in very a lot of different ways. And I shouldn't have really admitted that on a live stream. But I've got a very vivid imagination, and I can't do anything about that. You know, it's just the way I'm built. But it's a very lovely image. You know, just want to say it's lovely. It's lovely. It's beautiful. Taxi. I'm glad you've got a fucking sense of humour, Lana. And now Michael's picturing us both, you know, with me behind. Oh, I'm sorry. I use British Berkeyfield. That's what I've got, Lana. UK version of Berkey, and it's what Berkey was based on. Exactly. Yeah, we built all the best shit, you know. America not stole, but adopted a lot of what we've got and a lot of what we've made. England, the United Kingdom, but again, that's a corporation. So I'm trying to think. Great Britain, yes, not the UK. That's another thing we need to get out of saying, because the United Kingdom is a corporation and we're not a corporation. Great Britain is not a corporation. It's a collection of great nations. But yeah, I've got exactly the same, Lana. Millbank bag is useful. You know, I had one of my watch lists. I've got a few of my watch list. They are good. Very, very, very basic. But again, a Berkey weighs next to nothing, and what you get, even getting a little kit together, which is what I did. I did a little video of what I've got in my car, and I've done a little video of the little kit that I've got as well. If you look back, you know, for what that can do, that little kit, it pisses all over a Millbank. But a Millbank was an old school Berkey, not Berkey. Oh, you know what I mean. The little kit, the little thing, hundreds of thousands of, yeah, you know what I mean. Is useful for sifting water before putting it through your filter, but soak it first. Yeah, but they are good. They are good. Hybrids, yeah. Hybrids, I think hybrids are, the concept of a hybrid makes complete and total practical sense. It really does. So you've not got that massive expense of shelling out 35 to 40,000, 45,000 even, depending on what car you've got, of replacing the entire battery bank. You haven't got all that massive expense. It's still going to be expensive, but not nowhere near as expensive, because it just chops and changes automatically between the two, you know? Hey, calm down, fucking calm down. And if anyone's not subscribed to the Scouse Oracle, please do, because she's keeping an eye on a lot of all of this digital ID nonsense, and she's she's obsessed with it, which is a good thing. I like it when people are obsessed with something that is going to be detrimental to society as a whole. You know, when people get obsessed with something, it's a good thing, you know. And if you can cope with the Scouse accent, she's a spot on girl, you know. She gives a fuck. I remember seeing on a YouTube post an electric car charger being run by a diesel generator. Go figure. Exactly, it's fucking crazy. It's in the shorts. It's in the shorts of the channel, if it's still there. Your Wi-Fi is creating a 3D map of you in real time inside your home. Yeah, and do you know what, Lana? That's due to the amount of smart dust that we've inhaled that's in our blood supply. It's because of smart dust. And I'm hearing about smart dust from batshit bonkers conspiracy theorist channels about 8-9 years ago, and I never dismissed it. You know what? My phone just started ringing. Just as I go for this. You see, so I was interested in, you know, far out conspiracy theorist channels way back then, and I don't think I ever took any of them with like a pinch of salt. I think I paid attention to them as being potential, you know, potentially realistic things. I don't really discard any information. I let it all just go in there. It all just goes in, and I just let it all float around. I know I've said that 1,000 times before, but it works for me, because if it's going to make a connection, it's going to make a connection, you know. And then when it does, it does. It's just it's a way of not allowing your RAM, your biological RAM, your random access memory. I know Lana knows what I'm talking about, from getting slowed down. You know, it doesn't slow you down. Just let it in and float around. It's a really, really good way of taking in ridiculous amounts of information on a daily basis without it overloading you, you know. But yeah, you spot on, Lana, and the technology they've got now is just, it's ridiculous. But don't ever let that become so formidable to you that it takes away the fight in you. Don't allow that to happen. Which is why I hardwire everything. I know, Lana, I know. And what I need to do is I need to get a probably about, just to make sure, probably about a 15-meter long Ethernet cable to plug in straight in from the Wi-Fi, the router, straight into the laptop. And there'd be no slowing down, no freezing, no me going, you know, or mid-sentence, none of that, you know. It makes pure sense. I need to get around to it, Lana, but you're a good reminder. Tune for Frozen. Let it go, let it go. Oh, I fucking hate that song. Hate the film, hate the new one, you know, hate them all. And the fact that there were so many kids that were getting into that film, you know, if they saw all the symbolism, they will have seen the symbolism, but it would have just gone into the heads and done the damage that it was intended to do. And the parents would have just been allowing it because they're so apathetically pathetic. That's one of my favorite emojis, those two eyes. Digital ID is not scrapped. It's not. Only the card, the system is still in place. I had a bit of an argument with someone on in the comments section. It was about the fucking hell. The thing that you sign electronically that goes around and gets loads of traction. And it was stupid. And I put down, this was pointless from the fucking start because it was never about a card. They should have got this right from the start. But even then, it wouldn't have made any difference. It would have made no difference. They're still going to machine on ahead with it anyway, regardless of how many signatures you get. You know, they don't give a fuck. They don't care. You know, they might symbolically mention it in Parliament because it got over a certain amount of hundreds of thousands kind of signatures. So they're just, it's just tokenistic. Yeah, we've mentioned it. Look, we've just mentioned it. It's been, you can see it on the telly. We've mentioned it. And that's it. Fuck off. We're doing it anyway. But it was never about a card. If they started that off properly with the digital ID system, not the card, there's no fucking card involved. It's not like, papers, please. Here's my card. Okay. Next. Papers, please. Here's my card. Okay. Next. Papers, please. It's not going to be like that. It's a digital ID slavery system. It covers everything. And anyone that thinks that they've opted out of data sharing within the NHS, there is no opt-out. None. As the Scouse Oracle will explain in more detail. Yeah, Disney's so fucked up, so sick. So sick, fucked up and twisted, you know. And Walter Disney was a nonce. He was a nonce. He was a full fucking raging paedophile that was allowed to carry on And then when he died, his legacy was allowed to carry on. And there's so much paedophilia within so many of the continuation of Walt Disney's films. It's ridiculous. Everything is in your face. It's just that, unfortunately, we're experiencing a proper full-on retardation of so many parents that aren't paying attention to what their kids are watching and listening to. They're not paying attention, you know? And then they wake up one day and think, how the fuck did our little boy turn out to be like this? How the fuck did our little girl turn out to be like that? Because of you and your apathy, because of you not paying attention, not asking questions, not listening, because you're too fucking busy swiping away on your Black Mirror device like a cunt. So, you know, to a big degree, I think for most of us, we've all encountered massive impacts in our life that's kind of given us such a fucking smash in the face. It's woken us up and sent us down this path that we're on now. Now, I know that there are a lot of parents out there. I don't like that. Actually, the word parent, the pair that rent, even though that is the truth, because once they sign that birth certificate away, they've signed their child away. So they are renting their own kid. But yeah, you know, the massive fucking impactful shock that they're going to get from not paying attention, I'm glad about. So some people might think, well, that's a bit harsh, that is, Terry. Bit harsh, you know. Look how it was for us. Well, I think that short, sharp, impactful impacts, massive impacts, are what makes or breaks us. So it's going to make or break them. And if it breaks them, it breaks them. If it makes them, welcome to the party. Welcome to join the ranks. So when I say break them, that's going to include their kids. Their kids are going to be broken as well because the parents are broken. But as I've said before, you know, again, I'm not a heartless bastard. I'm not. I'm far from it. Far from it. But this world has always been a survival of the fittest world. Always. That's never changed, and it never, ever will. Ever. So you either become a warrior or a victim. And that massive, impactful shock that's fucking coming will separate the wheat from the chaff, the strong from the weak. So even people that you might have perceived as being weak might turn out to be one of the strongest people you've ever met in your life, but they're going to need to take that massive fucking impact in order to find out who they are. It's a shame because I would love to live in a world full of fluffy clouds, happy people, butterflies, singing birds, gently, you know, waves just going in and out on the shore. Just a perfect world. But it's not like that. It's nothing like that. It could be, but when you throw humans into the mix, it gets a bit fucked up. Everything gets more complicated. Everything gets more dark. Everything gets more devious. You know? So we do need a fucking reset. We do. But I've said before, it needs to be on our terms, and we have the numbers. So that reset's going to happen. It's going to happen regardless. But our input counts, because that will play a big part in how it turns out. I mean, they've got some insane weapons, you know, that aren't actually kinetic in the conventional sense. These weapons are just utterly bizarre. But you can't allow fear to get into you to deter you from aiming for the prize, and the prize is freedom. The prize isn't freedom. The prize is liberty. Liberty. Disney full of PDF file. I like that. I like that, Lana. That's a very, very strategic way of wording things. Myself, again, I've listened to other channels that are all pro freedom of speech, but so many of these channels that are pro freedom of speech are not freedom of speech ultralists. They believe that we shouldn't actually say that, you know, because that is, you know, and maybe not, you know, don't go down there either, you know. And fuck that. Freedom of speech is freedom of speech. So if you're going to say paedophile, say paedophile. If you're going to say rape, because it's an insult if you don't to the victims. Sexual assault instead of essayed. You know, I'm sick and fucking tired of pussies, and this is not at you, Lana. You know that. I'm just saying generally across channels, right? You can't say you've got freedom of speech, but never, ever. It's all about the individual knowing, I shouldn't really say the word nigger, you know, because it's not really appropriate. It's unnecessary. I shouldn't really say, were you raped? Be a bit more subtle, be a bit more caring, you know, maybe choose another word or elude, find another way to kind of get them to open up and share and offload and feel comfortable. Again, blah, 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 blah. I'm just saying, right, that our speech should never be impeded, and we should never, ever have anyone tell us that we can't say this word, we can't say that word, we can't do this and we can't do that. We can't have this and we can't have that. Fuck that. That's the attitude everyone should have. Everyone. But just maintain some level of self-control. You know, because words are spells. They are. You know, words are very, very powerful. So, and I'm aware of that. So, you know, because I'm aware of that, I'm very selective generally about how I speak. But every now and then I will make a point by using my power to speak without anyone getting in my fucking way. There should be no limits on speech. Again, just like there should be no limits on illicit drugs. None. If you allow heroin to take over you to the point where you turn into a thieving little cunt and then die from some sort of overdose, survival of the fittest. It's the same thing. Again, I'm not expecting everyone to agree with me, you know, but this is how I feel. This is how I think. Again, regardless of how people think, because I'm an individual, I think on my own. I don't, you know, I get inspired by people, you know, I listen to people and I think, yeah, you know, I don't, and there are some people that I agree with on certain elements and then I don't agree with on other aspects of what they say, you know. It's whether or not the truth speaks to me or not. That's what matters. It's all about the truth. And freedom of speech is an expression of the truth. You wouldn't be born with a larynx if you weren't meant to use it. You wouldn't be born with a brain if you weren't meant to use it. So they can take their restrictions and shove it up their fucking arse so far that it comes out their mouth. Fuck them. I'll never, ever, ever be dictated to. Ever. Ever. I'm a man. I'm a fully grown adult man. I don't need to be dictated to. And neither do you. And it's a slippery fucking slope because if you allow those buts in freedom of speech, it's a slippery slope. It's like, okay, you can't say that now. And now that's got to be changed to that. You can't say happy Christmas. It's happy holidays. You can't say manpower because it's about man. It's about everyone power. And it's like, fuck off. Women know what manpower means. Women know that manpower includes women. They know that. Or at least any sane woman knows that. Fuck them. Right, we've reached the 3 hour mark. And I feel like I do need to kind of just be strict with myself so that I can take the girls out, you know, just like for one last walk. And it's midnight, and I think, and I don't want anyone to be staying up, you know, just for the sake of this live stream and that lack of sleep eating into their weekend, you know. Maybe do a Sunday night live stream as well, because that's one thing about the world that we're living in right now, is that there is going to be no shortage of stuff to talk about. None. You know, every single day. You know, at the start of the channel, it was kind of like, you know, there was something to talk about, and then maybe a week later something significant had happened to tie in with a prepping video that could be talked about, and then a week later or 2 weeks later there'd be something else. There's something happening almost every single fucking day now. Thank you, Lana, and we will. I've got my boots out ready. It's going to be muddy as fuck down there. I've got to clean them up when they get back, so it's not going to be an easy job, you know. But they need their exercise, and exercise is important for all of us. It really is. It really, really is. The cardiovascular system in your body, you keep that pumped, and I'm telling you, you'll feel the endorphins that make you feel. They make you feel good, you know, mentally, spiritually. It's good for you. It's really good for you. Push yourself, get fit. And again, learn to fight if you can. Good night, Lana. Sweet dreams. And remember, I've always got that image of you on all fours, and that was your fault, not mine. So we'll bring this down to an end instead of it going to like 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. And, it's just trying to be practical. We can keep ourselves optimal. It's good for us. It really is. It really, really is. And it is. So I'll say I'll say sweet dreams and good night to all of you. And I know I say this every time, and I know that it probably sounds a bit cheesy, but it's the truth. I just really, really appreciate you spending your time with me. And it feels good for like-minded people to all come together like this. It's lovely. It's lovely because we can all just say whatever and none of us feel judged because we're all speaking the truth. Facts. There's a lot of people out there that have got a lot of catching up to do, and hopefully we can be there to help them when the cookie crumbles for them, because all of the stress and the painful reality of what's really happening around us. We've absorbed all that. We've taken all of that on board, all of it. We've had nights where we've thought, fucking hell, because we've had these incredible realizations of what's really happening. Stuff that the majority, not the vast majority, but the majority of people are unaware of. So we take on all of that so that they don't have to. And that's commendable. So much love to you all, and have a cracking weekend. And hopefully we'll do a live stream on Sunday night. And much love to you all. Ciao for now.